Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to share with you what I'm doing for the 100-day project and also just give you some tips of how to choose it and some more information on it, and we can also maybe do a little process together. So starting at the beginning, if you're not familiar with the 100-day project, this is the 7th year that they're doing it, and it's going to be my 2nd year of taking part in it. I'm just going to get my iPad and read some of the information or talk about it. I don't want to get anything wrong, so I thought this might be easier. So it's a free art project that takes place online. Step number 1 is to sign up for the newsletter, which you can do here by typing in your email. I'll leave a link down below to the website. So it's just basically where you can get updates and inspiration on the project. I have never done step number 1. It's not mandatory. It's just if that's something you would like to do. Step number 2 is to find your community online. So on Instagram, the facilitator is Lindsay Jean Thompson. I don't know if she's also the founder of it. And then when you post on Instagram, you can use the hashtag the 100-day project. Again, this is optional. If you don't feel comfortable doing it, you really don't have to do it. You can take part in it and not share it online and just let it be an achievement for yourself. Step number 3 is to choose your project. You can do anything. They are listing some examples here, like paint, draw, dance, knit, doodle, sing, or brush your teeth. Step number 4 is to sign up and announce your project on Instagram. So, and again, there's a link there to sign up and you can announce it. Again, I am posting on Instagram, but I haven't announced it or signed up for it. Step number 5 is just when it's starting. So it's starting on the 7th of April and it's finishing on the 15th of July. Now, one thing that I want to say about those dates is that I've seen many people starting whenever they can. So if you want to start later in the year, you can do it. Those are just the dates if you want support from the online community. Now, I thought I'll share some tips with you on how which things I find helpful to choose my project. So tip number 1 is to choose something that's achievable and that doesn't take too long, because 100 days is quite a lot. Last year I ended up doing some tags and these worked so well because it's not a large surface to decorate, and I could knock them out fairly quickly depending on the day and how decisive I was, but this worked really well. I have some process videos on my YouTube channel. I will post a playlist in the description if you would like to see it. I also posted last year on Instagram, so if you would like to see the whole collection, there will also be a link down below for that. But that really worked well. So choose something that is small, that doesn't take too long. I, for example, would not be able to do an art journal page a day. I wouldn't be able to do that. I take my hat off to people that can. If you want to do something like that, if you want to choose a big project, my tip would be, let's say for example you want to do art journaling, but you can't do a page a day, then maybe just say that every day for 10 minutes you're going to work in your art journal. Even if you are just putting some paint on the page, you don't have to finish that whole page on that specific day. You can just each day work on that page, and by the end of it you have done something for 100 days in your art journal, whether you've got 4 or 6 completed pages. Another one that I think would be really interesting is those DIY dollhouse kits that's floating around. I've got one that I received for Christmas and it's really fun to do, but something like that could work too. So each day you can just spend 15-20 minutes working on it, and it's about the process actually, not about the end result. So by the 100 days, if you haven't finished the dollhouse, it's okay, at least you've worked on it for 100 days. My second tip would be to look at your supplies. If you have a lot of ephemera or stickers, think of a project that you can pick to use those things up. Also, if you've got watercolors and you don't use it that often, but you would like to, maybe you can do something with that. Tip number 3 would be to prep in advance if you can. So for example, for the tags, I got 100 tags immediately and I could just whip them out and do them. Let's say, for example, you want to do journaling cards but on watercolor paper, then get your watercolor paper and cut these out in advance so you've got them. Something like that, if I have to cut it each day, that will stop me doing the project. Then my 4th tip would be to get a tracker. So last year I used this one, and every time I did a tag I colored in a block, and this really motivates me to see how far I am. My last tip would be to go easy on yourself. It's inevitable you will be missing a day here and there. You're just sometimes not in the mood to do it, and that's completely fine. If you finish 5 or 6 weeks after the 15th of July or the date that you have set out for yourself, that is completely fine. Just take all the guidelines and make it work for you. So this year I'm going to do 100 days of devotional journaling. These books are by Shana Nawal. I'm going to use the Less Hustle, More Jesus. This is one that I have started. I haven't completed it, but I love having like the whole project together, and that's why I thought of just going into a new book. But they are really nice in the sense where you've got some things happening on the page, some colors. So if you don't have enough time, you can just do your journaling or your quote, and you don't have to do much more to it. However, if you would like to decorate more and add more things, you can. This paper really surprised me. It takes most of the mediums very well. I've used like archival ink here to stamp this out, and I've had no bleed through, where usually in my journal I will have some. I've used acrylic paint in here, watercolor, a little bit of everything. On this page I've used some pieces from a magazine, I use my Damo labeler, washi tape, some stenciling, so you can really do as much or as little as you would like. So I have done already 2 pages in here, and I thought maybe we can do the 3rd page together. So this is day 1. I've done day 2. This is one of my favorites, and we can do day 3. So you've got basically a little piece, a devotional piece here, 3 scriptures, another one here at the top, and then a prayer at the bottom. So I hope you're going to enjoy this process with me. Let's start. I am back this time with a voiceover. I'm using a clip and a watercolor journal to keep the book from closing. It stays open by itself to a degree, but for video purposes I need the book to lay flat. I am using some Matisse acrylic paint in an ash pink. I am picking similar colors to what I can see in the background. You can bring in a different color and see if you like it or not. I personally have really enjoyed seeing what I can use that is similar. I have used a palette knife and I just spread the color randomly over the page. This is a satisfying action and I find it very hard to stop. Next, I'm using a rubber brush and making some marks on the page with a rich burgundy color. I want to add more to the background, but with something that's transparent, and this is where Distress ink works well. I am using Wild Honey with a Tim Holtz stencil to create an arrow pattern. Little details can bring everything together, so definitely don't underestimate them. I am using a white Posca marker and making small dots in the number 3. You can also use a white gel pen for this. I am getting out some magazine clippings that I picked earlier on, and I have a clear idea of where I want to place them, so I'm going ahead and just sticking them down with a glue stick. I am using some black archival ink. You don't have to use this brand, it's just one of my favorites, and I want to stamp out something that says be courageous and live an authentic life. Now this is where my OCD took over, and I try to stamp the word courageous in the middle of B, and to do this I am starting in the middle of the word. Needless to say, it did not work out well for me, and I left the R out of courageous. I try very hard not to overthink things in my creative life because it never works out well. To fix my little problem, I'm re-stamping it out on brown paper that I can hopefully stick over it. So in the end, some of the words will be stamped directly in the book, and then my two key words, which is authentic and courageous, I will stamp out on the brown paper. In the end, I think it's looking much better than what I actually planned. So I will say this is a good example of a happy accident. Let me know what you think. While I've got the ink out, I'm stamping my date and getting out a Stabilo All pencil to just make some marks. I'm not going to use water to activate the pencil, so you can use a black pencil or pen. I prefer the pencil because I like the grainy look that you get with it. I want to bring in some more of the yellow, so I'm going to add some gold splatters. I'm adding water to the pan. A secret to a good splatter is to have a decent amount of water. You can't tell, but I also waited a few seconds for the color to mix with the water before I started. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!